Hi, Epic Recaps here, and today I'm going to explain to you a 1991 fantasy adventure film titled Rocketeer. If you want to be spoiled, keep watching. The movie opens at an airfield in Los Angeles and the year is 1938. A flight crew is moving a new plane, coined the GB, out onto the runway. Cliff Secord, a young pilot, and Peavy, his best friend, plan to use the GB in a national air show later that year. Sticking a piece of Beeman's chewing gum on the tail of the plane for good luck, they take off for a test run. Meanwhile, a duo of gangsters is engaged in a gunfight with members of the FBI. Cliff flies overhead, and the gangster, thinking Cliff may be law enforcement, shoots at the plane. Cliff's engine begins to stutter as he maneuvers back toward the runway. The gangsters arrive at the same runway and hide in a hangar. Wilmer, the driver, sees that his partner has been fatally wounded in the shootout. He hides the package the two of them had stolen and tries to escape. Colliding on the runway, the GB bursts into flames and Wilmer crashes his car into a fuel truck, causing an explosion. The mechanic crew manages to get Cliff out alive, who rushes back to retrieve a photo of his girlfriend. Catching up to Wilmer, the FBI questions him about the stolen package, who merely responds that it is blown to hell. They find a metal device in the wreckage of the fuel tank, and they assume this is the device in question. They report back to a man named Howard Hughes, the owner of the device, who tells them what they found was a vacuum cleaner and not the stolen item. He decides to burn the blueprint as the theft has proven to be too dangerous to exist. Cliff and Peavy take responsibility for the damage to the fuel truck and agree to do plane tricks for the airfield owner's next air show. The pair, while working on the biplane for the show, discovers the package Wilmer had hidden and turns it on. The device roars to life and rockets around the room. Cliff, noticing some straps on the metal, picks up the item and attaches it to his back. Both men are shocked to realize the item is a rocket pack. That night, the pair decide to test the rocket and steal a statue from the local flight school. The experiment is a success and Cliff suggests they borrow the rocket for a one-of-a-kind air show that will make them filthy rich. Eddie Valentine, the leader of the gangsters, reports to Neville Sinclair, a movie star and the man who hired him, to discuss the botched heist. Neville, who is anxious to get his hands on the rocket, makes arrangements to extract information from the injured Wilmer. Later that night, Cliff picks up Jenny Blake, his girlfriend, and an aspiring actress who recently auditioned for a role in Neville's film. She suggests they watch his latest movie and Cliff agrees after he learns that it's a movie about planes. On their way there, she asks how his test flight went and he lies, telling her it went well with only a few minor bumps. At the hospital, Lothar, who works for Neville, learns from Wilmer that the package was hidden in an old plane. Lothar kills Wilmer by crushing him and escapes through the window. After the movie, Cliff and Jenny have dinner at a local restaurant. Cliff's old friend Malcolm reveals the truth about what happened during the test flight. Angry that Cliff lied to her, Jenny storms out. The next day, Cliff comes by to see Jenny, who is working on set as an extra in Neville's new movie. He accidentally knocks down part of the set, which enrages Neville and he fires Jenny as a result. Cliff follows her out to apologize and tells her about the rocket he and Peavy discovered. Neville overhears them talking and invites Jenny, who happily accepts, to be his date at the South Seas Club that night to find out what she knows. At the airfield, the stunt show is underway and Cliff is nowhere to be found. Overhearing Otis threaten to fire Peavy and Cliff, Malcolm decides to help them out by flying the plane. Eddie and his gang are also at the airfield but are unable to locate the rocket. They take the photo of Jenny instead, suspecting she may know who took the package. Cliff arrives just in time to see Malcolm take off on the plane. Seeing the plane begin to stutter and smoke in the air, Cliff straps on the rocket and flies overhead to grab Malcolm, right before the plane crashes to the ground. He drops him off to safety and takes off, flying above the clouds. Saluting passengers on a commercial flight, he accidentally hits the shut-off switch, but manages to turn the device back on before finally landing in a nearby pond. Peavy, who catches up to him, loads Cliff on the truck and they quickly escape with the help of the rocket. Eddie and his gang, who are hot on Cliff's tail, now know that he has the rocket. Meanwhile, Cliff's flying spectacle makes the headlines and they coin him the Rocketeer. Neville and Howard come across the front page news and both men are outraged for their own reasons. The FBI agents pay Otis a visit and find him murdered in his office with a note in his hand, which has Cliff and Peavy's address written on it. Arriving at the address, Lothar arrives to retrieve the rocket, but the FBI interrupts and an ensuing gunfight breaks out. Cliff and Peavy manage to escape with the rocket as the men exchange gunfire. At the South Seas Club, Jenny is enjoying her time with the glamorous Neville when he is called away by Eddie, who turns out to be the club owner. Unhappy with the death of Wilmer, Eddie threatens to tell the feds about his involvement if things don't work out. Cliff and Peavy are hiding out above the diner and agree to return the rocket to its rightful owner. About to call the FBI, two of Eddie's men barge in and torture Peavy for information. Catching the eye of one of the men, they call Jenny's phone number and learn she is out with Neville and leave to find her. Cliff and a few of the patrons attack the remaining thug and straps on the rocket to get to Jenny first. Noticing the rocket is leaking, Peavy seals the hole with a wad of chewing gum and Cliff takes off, promising to return the rocket once Jenny is safe. Cliff gains entry to the South Seas Club by posing as a busboy and accidentally spills some soup on her to get her away from Neville. He tells Jenny that his boss Otis is dead and the people who killed him may also be after Jenny. She's skeptical but agrees to do what Cliff says and leave town for the next few days. Recognizing Cliff, Eddie's thugs chase after him but he is able to escape through the glass roof with the help of the rocket. Neville chases down Jenny who is still at the club and knocks her out with chloroform. Awoken by Neville, Jenny wakes up in his bed. He tells her he is innocent and being blackmailed. Not believing him, she knocks him out with a vase and runs off. Trying to escape, she stumbles into a secret room full of radio equipment and attempts to make a call for help, but only hears men speaking in German. Looking around, she notices a book with a swastika symbol and realizes that Neville is a Nazi spy. Just then, Lothar Neville arrives and has Lothar subdue her. Cliff returns to the diner and gets a phone call from Eddie who has Jenny hostage and wishes to trade her for the rocket. Arranging to meet at the observatory at 4 a.m. but before he is able to leave, the FBI arrests him. The agents bring Cliff to Howard and find Peavy also there, happily discussing the improvements he made to the rocket. Howard, clearly impressed, shares that the rocket was stolen from the factory and suspects it was the German Nazis, who have been trying to create a similar model, but without much success. After hearing Howard's suspicions, Cliff asks if he can use the rocket one last time to save Jenny. The FBI reveals that Eddie and his goons just hired Muscle, working for a Nazi agent that they haven't been able to identify. Cliff realizes the agent must be Neville, but the feds laugh at the thought. Out of options, Cliff escapes the factory by gliding on a prototype named Spruce Goose and heads to the observatory to rescue Jenny. Touching down, Neville and his men demand that Cliff remove the rocket before they hand over Jenny. He turns to Eddie and informs him that the man he is working for is a Nazi soldier, a fact that Jenny confirms. Disgusted by the mere thought, he turns on Neville, who anticipated the betrayal, and orders a team of German commandos to engage along with a German Zeppelin. The FBI shows up and the Germans try to evacuate. On the same side, for the time being, the feds and the gangsters open fire on the soldiers. In the middle of the gunfight, Neville takes Jenny hostage aboard the Zeppelin. Cliff grabs a weapon from a fallen German commando and blasts off towards Jenny but is stopped and attacked by Lothar. Cliff manages to knock Lothar over the side and heads inside to see Neville holding a gun to Jenny's head. Seeing no other choice, he takes off the rocket, but before he slides it over to Neville, Cliff removes the gum Peavy put over the hole. Cliff and Neville get in a struggle, and Jenny fires a gun, not realizing it's actually a flare gun. Fire breaks out in the cockpit as a result, and Neville takes off with the rocket. Moments after he takes flight, the fuel leak causes him to burst into flames and he crashes into the legendary Hollywoodland sign. Cliff climbs back up to the top of the Zeppelin with Jenny, and tells her that they have almost no hope for survival. She proclaims her love for Cliff, and they share an embrace. Lothar returns to fight Cliff again, but the explosions from the Zeppelin cause all three to run to safety. Lothar is still held in place from his tether and cannot escape the blast. Peavy and Howard arrive in his prototype glider and rescue the pair before the Zeppelin is engulfed in flames. The next morning, Peavy reads the newspaper to Jenny and Cliff. The FBI has decided to cover up Neville's Nazi involvement, releasing a cover story that he was killed in a tragic accident. Hearing a roaring engine outside, Cliff, Peavy and Jenny head out and see Howard arrive in a plane. Howard tells Cliff that the plane is a gift for helping him with the rocket pack fiasco. Cliff is so stunned that he cannot even thank Howard Hughes. Jenny says that she also has a gift intended for both of them and reveals that she stole the schematics for the rocket pack from Neville's house. Cliff and Jenny enjoy a romantic moment while Peavy plans to rebuild the rocket pack with a variety of improvements. The end. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, leave a comment down below. For more movie recaps, don't forget to click the like and subscribe button. See you next time.